Okay, so I'm going to try and get a quick maiden flight in here while it's not raining. It's been raining all day today. And found out that the dial here on the upper right shoulder is for exposure, so I'm going to be probably bumping that up plus 0.7. Pretty dark today. And then the dial on the left is for the gimbal. We've got 13 satellites. Take off, you just press the two sticks down and in, and then lift up on the throttle. It looks like, go ahead and take off. I'm going to start recording. Long press on the button in the back here. And we're starting to record. It's a little shaky. See it kind of fluttering around a little bit there. There's no optical flow, so it's just GPS hold only. It's pretty good. Not moving at all. There's no wind right now either, although. The props make a really interesting sound. It's almost like they're out of balance, but I don't see any shaking in the video. Maybe I'll rotate this around. You see me in the video and wobbling a little bit, but that gimbal's working pretty good. Looks pretty stable. The rain's already starting up again. All right, let's just point at this car over here. I'll play around with the exposure. Bring it down a little bit. So this is exposure at 0. This looks really dark on the screen. So I'm going to bump that up. All right, let's get a little bit of aerial footage just before I head back in. It is wet out right now. All right, I'm gonna go up kind of quick here. All right, I'm gonna cut this flight short pretty soon. Gonna dial it down, or dial the gimbal down. Pretty smooth. And that's all the way down 90 degrees. All right, let's move it up quick. Maximum speed. Up. I think it goes even further up. That's all the way up. All right, let's go up a little further. We'll do a pan around. It's coming down pretty good right now. This is probably not advisable. Pan the gimbal up. Get a little surround. Going to remove the gimbal around pretty slow. Not all that interesting, just my neighborhood of houses. I think the transmission of the video is coming back at 5.8 gigahertz analog, it looks like. Because I do see some breakups. Alright. That's enough for the camera. Alright, so I'm just going to fly line of sight a little bit here. The video footage is not bad. You can see I'm jerking it back and forth like this, and it looks fairly stable in the video feed. This is on the pitch axis. Of course, yaw is electronically stabilized. And then here's roll, back and forth. Let's see if I can get that gimbal to maybe mess up, but it looks really smooth. Very smooth in the video feed. I'm pretty aggressive on the sticks too. You can see, look at that. Bring that down here. Just watch that gimbal. You'll probably see that. Very smooth, very nice. Pretty impressive. Okay, I think it's good enough for a first demonstration. I'll go ahead and land it. Just bring it down and then hold the stick down. And then motors should shut off within about like 5 seconds. And I'll go ahead and stop the video. Yeah, the video is not going to be all that impressive as it's very dark and dreary right now. Okay, so I'm back out of the rain in the house where it's dry. What you just saw was the actual Maiden. Just took it out of the box, charged up the battery a little bit, and the controller. You can charge it via USB here, and then the charger that's included. Unboxing's at the end of the video. Pretty simple. It took me about 10 minutes to get everything ready. I didn't update any of the firmware or anything. I didn't check that. I think there is firmware updates on the website. There's a website somewhere. I think it's called FIMI.com. I'll have probably another video on that later. But I just basically took it out of the box, charged it, and flew it, and that's what you saw. I did look at the video a little bit. That came out of the SD card. It's obviously a very dark day today, overcast with obviously raining. So the colors and everything didn't really pop. It did look kind of drab. Of course, it's a rainy day, but at the same time the sharpness and the image clarity seemed a little bit fuzzy, maybe even slightly out of focus off in the distance. I can tell that this kind of a camera compared to say a DJI product is not going to be as high of a quality, but then again the price difference is pretty big. This is like $270. Comes with a controller with a screen, and I think the most comparable product would be the Spark, which has also a 2-axis gimbal, I believe, and 1080p 30 frames per second, and that image is fairly sharp, but to get the drone and the controller together I think it's about $400, so it's about $130 difference between this product and something like the Spark. Of course the Spark is also smaller, but I think this one also has a longer flight time. This is advertised for 22 minutes versus the Spark is like, I think 12 minutes. So you get like another 10 minutes of flight time per battery. So those are the kind of differences you're looking at there. I mean, in terms of the stability of the gimbal, I was pretty impressed by that. You can judge that for yourself. I was really rocking the drone back and forth. I'm pretty aggressive on the sticks, and the image looked pretty stable. So the gimbal out of the box without any calibration or anything seemed fine. I didn't do any kind of calibration. I just flew it. Probably not advisable. There is and I'll show you that here in a second, calibration options in the controller that you'll need to see. But I do want to show you that the props are very easy to take on and off. So if you need to transport this in a bag or something, just take the props off, and it's just basically just twist on and off. The props are color coordinated. So there's ones with the little red lines here and ones without. So on the drone here, you'll see on the motors, they're like the ones with the little red lines, and this one does not. And they only go on a certain way, like there's a little arrow there, and the way you should lock and unlock them. And you can see that clockwise to lock these. And so you just slide the prop in like so, and there's a spring here that's going to push down on the spring and then twist it, and then that's going to lock the prop in place. And the only way to unlock it is you press down on the spring and then twist it the opposite way of locking, which is unlocking, to take the props off. So unless you crash into something which of course this drone doesn't have optical avoidance, so that could happen if you're not careful. You could possibly break these, but you do get an extra spare of each of one of these. One's clockwise and counterclockwise props. But if you're careful, you don't crash anything. These props should last you pretty much forever. Okay, so just a quick look at the controller. One thing to note here about the screen is that it seems like it's older tech, not on an IPS display, so when you rotate the screen here off axis, the screen gets very dark, so you have to kind of look at it straight on, and if you don't look at it straight on, then the screen is hard to see. This is the pre-flight checklist that comes on when you first turn the controller on. It shows the controller voltage and different stats here, return to home height, just basic stuff here. This does have FPV 5.8 gigahertz video, and I think that's what the drone is sending back. It's not digital video, it's actually, I think it's analog video being sent back to the screen via 5.8 gigahertz, and you can actually change this. I'll show you that here in a second. Exposure value, ISO, camera settings can also be changed as well. So let's just go right into that. Press that little joystick here to control the menu and everything. Looking around the telemetry features, you have your drone voltage, GPS satellites. This here is ADI mode or GPS mode. It's currently in ADI mode. And then we have your time for your how much storage is available to store video on the SD card. I have a micro SD card in there, 32 gigabytes. Transmitter and I think drone signal. You have your battery indicator for the transmitter. Horizontal speed, vertical speed. This is the compass direction away from your transmitter that the drone is, and then you have your distance and your height. The controller itself, mode 2 or mode 1, you can switch that here. Obviously centering sticks for height control. You have your antennas here, and you have a dial here on the left. This is for controlling the gimbal, so you can raise it and lower it via this dial, and it's centering. And then over here is for controlling the exposure value on the camera. You can see that it changes on this dial here. And then in the back here you have a button for stopping and starting your video. That's short press for photos, long press for starting and stopping video. This is the custom button here for controlling the port on the bottom for like lights or like dropping something like a servo, for example. Power button here. This switch here is for sport mode, GPS mode, and this is return to home. To get into the controller menu, you use this little joystick here. This first one is called Smart Flight. You have various modes here: return to home, auto takeoff, auto landing, orbit, follow me, selfie mode, headless mode, fixed wing mode. Those are all the, I guess, intelligent flight features, as well as like return to home, stuff like that. And then you have your camera settings. So video resolution, I think there's only 2 available: 1080p, 30 and 25 frames per second. Here you can change your picture quality: super fine, fine, and normal. That's the bit rate, so you probably want to do super fine if your SD card can handle it. Here you can change your exposure values, so you can do manual exposure or just set it to 0. ISO values are on auto, and it goes from auto or 100 up to 1600. And here are your shutter values. It's currently on auto, so you can go from 4 seconds to 1/4 seconds. This is the saturation value, and this one's for contrast. And then you have your TF card capacity, 32 gigabyte micro SD card in there currently. You can format here, and that last one is restore default parameters. GPS mode settings, here you can change limit flight velocity, flight altitude, flight distance. So these are all your limits and values you can change. I think these are all in meters. Here you can change your wireless video channel settings. So this is the 5.8 gigahertz. You can change your band and your channel here. Your flight mode settings. So here we have sports mode. I turned that on. That's so that it enables this here. If it's off, then it'll only be on GPS no matter what this switch does. Attitude mode. See, it's currently in attitude mode. I had turned that on, and then I turned that off, but it's still in attitude mode, so I'm not exactly sure what's up with that. it should be off. It should go back into GPS mode. Maybe I don't have enough satellites for that to be enabled, so something to look into later. Here you can change the dial here. That can control either the exposure values, or you can control that port on the bottom to, control lights or whatever. And let's see, we have calibration. So here you probably want to go in here and calibrate your compass. RC calibration is for the sticks here, and then gimbal calibration is for calibrating the gimbal. Make sure it's level. So you probably want to do all those things before your first flight. RC pairing is to bind the receiver to the drone, or the controller to the drone. And then we have your flight record. That's GPS coordinates, I think, of where the drone was last seen. Here you have system settings. You can change your language, date, time, metric units, and auto shutdown, screen auto shut off, and sound of the buttons. I think I might want to actually turn that off. Pretty annoying. Let's just turn that off here. Okay, that's much better. And then the last thing there was RF mode settings. You can change that from FCC to European. And then you have format RC card. So there's an RC card in here that records I think it's analog videos coming back to here, 5.8 gigahertz if you want to record that. And so I think that's 720p. And under About, we have current firmware versions on the flight controller or the drone. RC is the transmitter here. Camera is the firmware for the camera. And NFC, I don't know what that is, but these are all available for download if you want to update those. And there's also a video there that shows how to do that. Basically, you just plug in either micro SD cards with the format on there, with the file on there, or you update it via the micro USB port. So pretty straightforward. Okay, so that's everything that's on the controller in terms of settings, and we'll go ahead and I'll show you the unboxing now. Okay, so this is going to be a quick unboxing of the Xiaomi FIMI A3. This one I've been looking forward to reviewing. And here's just a quick look at some of the specs on the back. Okay, we got a quick start manual here in the top. Interesting. It's kind of folds out like this. And a disclaimer warning. Got a charger here, what was like a wall adapter. Okay, I got a bunch of props here. So it looks like they give you 6 props, so 2 spares. And this is the charger itself. Yeah, it looks like it's for a 3S LiPo, and that's where the wall adapter goes in. Looks like the battery plugs in here. And this looks like part of the charging setup here for the battery. And we got a micro USB cable here. Okay, so here's the drone itself, and it looks like there's no gimbal protector. It's just kind of hanging out there. Take a closer look at this here in a second. Okay, so here's the controller. This is one of the things that kind of separates this from a lot of budget GPS drones out there. It has a built-in screen, so no need to connect this to your phone, and it has also a built-in recording on here. You can take this little cover off, I think, and there's a little micro SD card slot inside. Yeah, the cover's a little bit hard to take off, but you can see a little micro USB port, micro SD card slot, and audio jack, I think, for sound. And we've got a return to home button, got a little dial or joystick here, interesting, might be for the gimbal. And over here we have sport mode, GPS mode. Powers it on. Got your antennas. You can go up like this. I think they'll go, up or down. That's it. So 90 degrees. I think this is for your gimbal. The little dial here. There's another dial here. This might be for adjusting exposure or something like that. I'm not sure. There's just a look at the back on the sticker. You got a 2950 milliamp hour 1S LiPo inside here. So I bet the micro USB port there is for charging the internal battery. Okay, so just powering it on here. Obviously no connection to anything, and we have all the telemetry information on the top. as well as height and distance information here and speed. And of course this will be where the video will come in. Okay, so just a closer look at the drone. Here are the motors, and spring loaded here for the props, so it should be easy to pop them on and off. We've got a battery in the back here. It just slides out. And here we have it's a 2000 milliamp hour, 22.2 watt hours, 11.1 volts. It's a 3S LiPo proprietary connector there. So yeah, not sure how this is going to get charged. Let's see. Okay, so there's a little door here for the balance plug that will go to the charger. That's what the little extra cable is for. And also back here we have a little micro SD card slot and a micro USB port for firmware updates. Alright, so here's the bottom. You got your 2-axis gimbal, so it's stabilized on the roll and pitch axis. Stabilized in all 3 axes electronically. Okay, we've got a little port here. This is like a DIY port for like dropping stuff, servos, lights, that kind of thing. Obviously nothing's included here. There might be accessories that might be sold at a later point, or you might be able to do build your own accessories. I'm not exactly sure what the specs on that port are, but we'll find out later. And then we got your power button here on the bottom. Got some lights on the ends, little feet. So in terms of size, I don't have the Spark, which is probably the closest thing this is probably going to be compared to, because it has a 1080p video and a 2-axis gimbal as well. So it's definitely bigger than the Spark. Obviously no folding arms, and the props aren't folding, but yeah, the arms are definitely longer, so it's bigger than a Spark in terms of footprint, and obviously no folding props, but the props you can take pretty easily on and off. So I'm hoping I could probably acquire a Spark and do a comparison. I know that from the video I've seen, the video quality on this compared to the Spark is a little bit less. I think it's a little bit fuzzier or not as sharp.